There are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit, so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the Wild Mustang. Brittany Ference is the Executive Director for the Great Escape Mustang Collaborative. She has dedicated her career to supporting the unique challenges faced by wild horses as they navigate their domestic journey. She has a strong interest in promoting self-reflective work for the humans and offering alternative healing modalities for the horses, such as bodywork, craniosacral, body and emotion code trauma release, animal communication, and energy healing. Brittany lives off-grid in the southern Rocky Mountains of northern New Mexico with her family, where her lifestyle re-employs slow living, simplicity, and connection to nature. You can catch her spending time with her family homesteading and in the backcountry horseback riding, fishing, hunting, and foraging. Her personal experiences in the wilderness reinforce her commitment and serve as a constant reminder of the beauty and resilience of Mustangs. Brittany, thanks for being here on the podcast. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Let's start by talking about how you got into horses and then how that ended up being Mustangs.
Horses have been in my life since I was really young. My parents definitely, I guess, inspired me to like follow that passion. And so I grew up riding English and jumping, hunter jumper, and doing dressage and competing like all the way through high school. And then I went to college and still had my horse at home, but like realized that I was away and he was just sitting there. And so I ended up selling my horse, but that was like a pretty ungrounded time in life. It was the first time I lived in a city and was away from like the country and away from horses, and it just felt very ungrounded. And so I was actually like struggling with that a lot in college, and told my mom I missed horses, and I ended up finding a summer camp to work at that was a ranch up in the mountains in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
And so I spent my summer there my freshman year, and it was life-changing. It was the first time I had ever rode Western, and in high school I ran cross country. So it felt like taking these kids on trail rides and teaching them how to ride in the backcountry. It felt like a mixture of like my two passions of like being in the wilderness and then being on horseback in the wilderness. And It was the first time that I was introduced to natural horsemanship too, which was also, it was mind blowing because I had never seen such like a kind way of training horses. It was always kind of like, I guess, demanding of horses and like, you do what we tell you to do.
Right.
Dominant. And so this natural horsemanship was the first time that I had like seen like yeses from the horse and choice. And so that really like just opened up my whole I guess, view of what like partnering with a horse could be. And then being in the backcountry with a horse, and like going down like super steep mountains and like having complete trust in each other. That was also like just a really life-changing experience for me. Yeah. So I was hooked after that summer. And it also, teaching kids how to ride in the backcountry also was like such a rewarding experience to see how horses can really make kids like gain confidence and grow from that experience. And so one of the like pivotal moments I had was at the beginning of that summer camp when like all of us as counselors were kind of like getting to know each other and kind of doing our like training for the summer. We wrote a letter to ourselves, and then you send it. I mean, you give it to them and they kind of like send it to you like 6 months, 9 months later. You like kind of forgot that you like wrote a letter to yourself. And in the moment, it's like you just write a letter to yourself, but it was like when I was back in college that sophomore year, and I like always like wanted to quit college like every semester. And I wrote to myself to like keep horses in my life because that's where I felt the most grounded. And so I've kept
Yeah.
that promise to myself ever since then. Graduated college with an arts degree, but then like went right back to ranching. And so after college, I bounced around to a lot of seasonal ranch jobs, which landed me in Wyoming, Wheatland, Wyoming, and got to work with the Mantle Ranch. And that was the first time that I'd gotten to like work with Mustangs in person. I always knew that they existed growing up, but it was the first time I ever got to like see them in person. And so I was doing like gentling training with them through the summer and fall. Again, just like all seasonal work with ranches. So yeah, it was just like for a season, but it was life changing because Wheatland is a very small town, and I was single, and I guess I just didn't have many friends. There wasn't a lot of like community there, and so everyone was just kind of drinking, and that wasn't my thing. And so I spent a lot more time with these horses than I even needed to or was asked to be, but they like taught me so much, and it was such a reflective time for me and my life, and like I guess like a sense of purpose that I found from them. And so moving forward after that seasonal position, I moved back to Boulder area, which is close to where the ranch was, but like down off the mountain. And I knew people there and had community there. And so I was like trying to stop like doing the seasonal ranch work because it felt like I was just always trying to find a job every like 6 months.
Always in limbo.
Yeah, like like always just bouncing around. I was getting pretty exhausted and like wanted to like root myself a little bit more. And
how old were you around this time?
I was 22 at that time, so 2012. And I ended up managing a ranch up in the foothills. It was like a private ranch, but it brought a lot of community to me, and it's like 60 acres, so like small compared to other things that I had done, and then got into like holistic farming and ranching. And how I met Michelle and how I got involved with Great Escape was I was trying to sell some goats on Craigslist, and she came out, her and her son came out and answered the ad, and we talked about goats for like 5 seconds, and then like started talking about Mustangs. And yeah, it's kind of, she started the organization in 2012. I think I met her in like 2013. And so it was like right after the organization. And I supported as a contractor on and off for years. And kind of was involved with programs and like tours of the sanctuary. And I have an arts background, so I helped with a lot of like digital marketing and anything photography related, like any way I could get my foot in the door, even though it was like contract work. So then fast forward, I moved to New Mexico because I got the opportunity to have a full-time year-round ranch manager position. And so I live in New Mexico still, don't manage that ranch anymore. But yeah, so I spent like the next 2 years managing that ranch. And Michelle and I had always been friends from that, like we'd catch up and stuff, but I wasn't like working for the organization. And then COVID happened, and I lost my ranch management position, and I went back into like contract work, like falling back on my arts degree again, and supporting nonprofits and ranching and rural businesses. And then Michelle called me and asked if I would want to support her with contract work again. And yeah, from there, she has like stepped back from executive director. I now live on a piece of land that we have a training facility down here with my partner, and kind of expanded Great Escape across Colorado to New Mexico border. And yeah, so I just took over about like 9 months ago now, but it's been like, it's literally been like one of my dreams. I didn't know Michelle would ever like want to step back from executive director. So when she did have that conversation with me, I offered to like put in a proposal, and you know, it was like a heck yes from her, of course, because we've been in and out of working with each other for so long that
Right.
lots of trust built. So yeah, that's how I
Awesome.
got to Great Escape.
Yeah. And so what was your experience with Mustangs up to that point, other than you saw them on that first ranch?
Yeah, I worked with those Mustangs, like doing the gentling training on that first ranch. And then um, I just knew like that I was being called to that work, like horses in general. But every time like Mustangs popped up as an opportunity, I was like, I like absolute yes. So
Yeah.
I I wasn't doing any training for Michelle. I was doing more like back end support stuff, but I would go out to the sanctuary herd and do tours and stuff. And it's like um being in the presence of a wild horse really is like a reflective experience of kind of, I don't know, maybe like your internal workings of like what's going on for you. And I feel like
Yeah.
they're such good mirrors, horses in general, but I feel like Mustangs are even like this next level of like attuned. And so it was really interesting watching different groups of people with the wild herd, and how the herd would interact with them and engage with them or engage with a certain person. I was kind of more like holding space for it, but yeah, you have your own experiences as well. And yeah, just so powerful and
Yeah.
so reflective.
Were there any like instances in particular, or was it just time and again they kind of kept coming back into your life?
Mm, yeah, I mean, Great Escape held like a container for me to be around them for a long time, even though it wasn't like my full time work.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one of the like most magical experiences I had was when I was like pregnant with my daughter and out with the wild herd, and they like they knew like it was, they like blessed
Mm.
me. They like all came up and were like, it wasn't like I was showing or anything yet, but it was like they were holding space like at my belly, and they were
Hmm.
like honoring that. And it's like at that point I had a relationship with the wild herd, but or like the sanctuary herd. But I
Yeah.
guess that was like a really magical moment for me. And then, you know, like whenever you see them in the wild, that's also a really powerful experience. And I think a lot of people in the public don't even realize that they're driving past like a wild herd, or like you know, that is a wild
Yeah.
horse that they're seeing. I think they like assume that it's just another, you know, ranch or something. So I feel like that's always like, I don't know, an intense like connection there too.
Yeah. That may be me. I've never gone to see wild horses, but
Oh,
we've passed the signs sometimes. So I'm like, I wonder if we just drove on by instead of
yeah.
stopping. But yeah, that would be a really incredible experience.
Hmm.
Have you been able to do that often, to go see them out in the wild?
It's kind of hard to get to them. They're all so remote. So I did get my darter license to do PZP. And so I was going out to San Wash Basin. So Great Escape Mustang Collaborative used to be on range and off range support when it
Mm-hmm.
originally started, and we were connected to the San Wash Basin herd management area. So since then, that group of volunteers have broken off into their own nonprofit organization, and we still like support each other, but they're doing their own things, and we now just support off range.
Okay.
But originally I was going up there and learning the herd, and that group of volunteers like knows the name of every horse on that range, and it's like
Yeah.
so cool to have that connection and just be with those women and those volunteers that like know that herd so well and live up in that area. And I was going up to document because there was going to be a roundup eventually, so I was like getting footage of the wild herd, and then I also was starting darting. I ended up getting pregnant, and yeah,
Yeah.
I
That
like
changes
stopped
things.
doing the darting. I was like, okay, I can't
Yeah.
go out into the middle of nowhere for days now.
Yeah.
Um,
You have to reprioritize a little bit.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So now SWAT, it's called SWAT, San Wash Basin Advocate
Okay.
Team. They are their own organization and they're still up there, but I don't go out to the wild herd very much. Now where I live, there is about 45 minutes from here. There's a wild herd, the Hickory. So it's like a Forest Service managed wild
Mm-hmm.
herd. So whenever we drive in like through the reservation lands, you see them every time, and it's always like, I don't know, exciting, but
yeah, that is
yeah.
exciting. So tell me a little bit more about the Great Escape Mustang organization and some of the things that you guys are working on and do for Mustangs.
It's been around since 2012, so now like 13, I guess 14 years. And yeah, like I said, originally it was off-range and on-range support. We're now just off-range model, and we've kind of gone through a couple different seasons. We have the sanctuary land, 900 acres east of Denver, and that facility used to be kind of all in one in-house like training facility. We'd have events out there, and we have the sanctuary land. Again, through COVID, like it switched owners. And so now it's private land. And unfortunately we can't go visit or like have the public on, to see the sanctuary herd anymore.
But you were able to keep the
we were
horses there?
able to like keep the partnership, just not in like the public. But through that, we also have created a model that's scalable, where we have trainer partners training Mustangs at their own private facilities, and have really created like this network of support. And so it's like been a really cool model because we can support more horses versus only having like one in-house trainer. That's been a really cool way to grow.
And so how does that work with those trainers? Is it someone picks to adopt a horse and then they can take them to the trainers, or the trainers training the horses and then finding homes for them?
So we pretty much just contract out the trainers to train for us. And so kind of our model this past year that's been working really well for us is we have Project Tame. So Connie Fries of Project Tame, she supports at-risk youth. So these are youth that are in a charter school that they kind of fell through the cracks of like a public school system, and we're in a dropout retrieval program through a charter school. And she created Project Tame, which she teaches kids how to gentle Mustangs, but it's really self-reflective for the kids to just learn and grow. It's been so magical, the experiences that we've heard about and seen, some of the transitions of the kids and transformations. And so how we're working currently is we have a really good partnership with the Forest Service down here in New Mexico, and they donate horses to the program. Those horses go into the at-risk youth program, Project Tame. And I love this setup because a lot of the Mustangs that only have one trainer, they get really attached to their trainer. And like what we've seen is like, even from one professional trainer to the next, like if one's like doing the gentling and one's moving them under saddle, it's like we get feedback saying like the horse doesn't know anything. And it's like, no, it only knows the language of one person.
You almost have to restart.
And you have to you get set back. And so I love this program because the kids aren't professionals, and they're not like, it's like what the horse is going to experience in like a real life experience out in the public, is like not necessarily having like professional communication with the horse. And so it allows that horse to experience a bunch of different personalities and a bunch of different like experience levels. And so they're doing like the gentling, and then we'll move, if we decide to keep the horse to move it under saddle, then we'll move it to another trainer. But it's been really cool to see just how well-rounded those horses are coming out of that program. And Kenny's doing amazing. And so we take those from holding, and then we also do like auction and kill pin horses, the horses that have fallen through the cracks and just need support they pretty much just need a better education in domestic life in order to like continue on their journey. So we do catch them in that way. And then another way that we support them is like owner relinquish. So the owner like knows they need to like transition, but they don't want to go through auction or just like put the horse up for sale. And so we act as a safety net for any horse that we take in and transition, we act as a safety net so that that horse, if it does need to ever switch owners again, we will take it back, and like we have the community and the followers to rehome that horse at the proper home. So,
Yeah. And is all that mostly in Colorado?
yeah, it's in Colorado, New Mexico. We definitely adopt out like outside of Colorado, but we are like a Colorado organization, and I feel like there's pretty big Mustang mecca here.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that till you said that, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense now.
Yeah,
because there are a lot of resources here.
There's a lot of resources for Mustangs, and I feel like Colorado is pretty progressive. Like down here in New Mexico, like they're still like known as like the rodents of the land, and like, you know, like they have no I guess like, yeah, I don't know, just a different like mindset around it. So
just
like Colorado is like, yeah, very progressive in their mindset and like wanting a Mustang and understanding like the value of the Mustang. So yeah, we have a lot of people that are supporters just right here in the Front Range and stuff. So
what are some of the, well, I guess a question of curiosity, was that hard to get a school district to go for the idea that we're going to put these youth in with horses that have very little experience with humans?
It wasn't. It was so Connie's, I don't know exactly how it worked, but I think Connie's kid was already going to that charter school, and she just presented the program to them, and they were like, absolutely yes. Like there's so much support. She has a psychology background, and so like she's got like all the different tools that she needs to make that program really successful. And yeah, like her large goal is to, I think, even bring it into like the court system, make it like a really official program. But right now she's starting with the school system, and she wants to be able to like, you know, create a program that can be repeated in other school districts and stuff. So yeah,
that would be awesome. I think it's such a good idea to have the kids around the horses. What are some of the things that you've seen that the horses, or heard that you've seen that the horses do to help these kids who are really kind of also struggling in the domestic world, so to speak?
Yeah, it's so cool to see that line of similarity where we're getting like sale authority Mustangs. So, you know, it's like they're falling through the cracks of society, and these kids are falling through the cracks of the system as well. And they really just help each other grow. And some of the transformations have been just like more self-confident and wanting to speak up for themselves, like learning better relationship skills. A lot of these kids don't necessarily have a great home life. So even just having that safety where they like totally trust Connie, because Connie's like, she has a similar background as them, and so she totally relate to them, and she's got like her tattoos and her piercings, so she's like a little bit like rebellious looking as well. And so I think that these kids like feel naturally really safe with her, and she, yeah, it's just been amazing. We've had one girl actually end up adopting one of the Mustangs, and she thinks this is what she wants to do for her life, is like train horses. And she, you know, pretty much she says that horse like saved her life. She had no reason to live and was like very depressed. And so, the growth has been amazing. Just the confidence that they build.
Yeah, and that's so interesting, because I think when we think about, you know, delinquent children, so to speak, we don't really think like they have a confidence issue or communication issues. It's usually they have authority issues, or they're, you know, not willing to participate in the process or whatever. So it's interesting that those are the things that have kind of been pulled out of there that have helped the kids. Puts a different angle for sure on what they maybe need.
It is. It's just like a hands-on way to get them in their body and like in their emotions, and like have a check-in. And like the horses, again, like are such a good mirror to kind of reflect what's happening in your internal environment. And so Connie's really good at like orchestrating that conversation, and so much growth happening. So she has a wait list. Incredible. Some of the kids like are already like wanted to sign back up, and it's like a program that's like, the more that we could support, the better. But there's only one Connie right this second, so it
Yeah.
is what it is. But
So she runs it all by herself.
yeah, she does. She has, I think, a group of 6 kids per quarter, and then she takes the summers off still. But she's still in school, like getting her master's in psychology. So she's still like kind of creating the program. But yeah, it's really good.
And so what does that look like for a typical day for the kids? Are they going to school and then they have afternoons with Mustangs, or how does that all work?
Yeah, it first started where they'd go every afternoon from like 12:30 to the end of the day and work with the Mustangs. I think this semester they're trying it different, where they just spend one whole day out with the horses. And Connie, I think, likes that setup better because it helps them like dive in deeper with the day and just be in the presence of horses all day and like have the classroom time and have the horse time. So I think we're going to stick with the 1 day a week, like one full day, moving forward. But,
and then you said these are all sale authority Mustangs?
Yeah, which, I mean, they are sale authority, and also the Forest Service like really supports us like finding good horses for the program. And so yeah, like they have gone through their 3 strikes and could be sale authority, but they'd like try to hold horses that are young enough to be in the program and like have the kids get somewhere with them. So
has that presented additional challenges at all, do you think? Because I know sale authority is kind of like, oh, there's at least 3 people who couldn't handle this horse, right?
Well, I don't know about that. It's like they've gone through like 3 auctions, so it's like they've never gone anywhere. It's like they've been presented to the public for adoption 3 times, and like they didn't get chosen out of the hundreds of other horses that could have been chosen. Usually it's like size and color that goes first. And so, yeah, these horses haven't done anything wrong. Like they just weren't the cutest colored one or whatever. Some of them are younger, like younger horses are kind of like, we call them like growing Christmas trees, where you're just like, they're not necessarily put under saddle right away. And so there's like a year, like people don't necessarily pick the horses that they can't just bring under saddle right away if they're getting one from the public and like needing it as a horse to use as a tool. To no fault of their own, if they become sale authority, it's just kind of how the system's set up.
Which I think is a good thing to highlight, because I know at least I've gotten the impression like sale authority is like three strikes or whatever, 3 strikes you're out. But really means nothing more except they didn't get picked.
Like they literally were on like the online auction 3 times, and that's get bidded on. Yeah, I love sale authority because then you have the title outright, which like, I mean, that also doesn't work in their benefit because Mexico, like you're close enough to the Mexico border that there is people that go and buy a whole load of sale authority horses and ship them to Mexico and make money. So that's why it is like a fault in the system. But I personally love sale authority because they're titled and we can take them and sell them outright. And, we don't have to like deal with the 1 year of, like we are the protection because like our adoption contract protects them. So we can sell them for the value that they are versus like adopting them out at a low value that the government puts on. So
yeah. Is that pretty common that people are just picking up loads of sale authority horses and taking them down for
it happens? And like the Forest Service tries to not engage with those people and like tries not to like support that, but then it's still like you, as a worker, they can't do anything. Like if someone's gonna buy a whole load of horses, someone's gonna buy a whole load of horses. So but the Forest Service, like they've been great partners and they do try their best to like protect the horses, but
do what they can in their
boots on the ground, but it is a fault. It definitely is a fault in the system.
How do you, I guess this is showing my ignorance, how do you even adopt a sales authority? They're not on the online auctions. Where do you find them?
I guess that's a good question. I don't know if they're on the online auctions as sale authority or not. Some of them like naturally go into that category based off of age, and then some of them, they get their like 3 strikes. And I guess I just have I love the Forest Service partnership because it's a smaller holding facility and she can
Mm,
really support like telling me their temperament and stuff. So I feel like
yeah.
I just love our friendship that we have and our partnership. Cause she really just
Yeah,
helps
that is nice.
support like the nonprofit to like be successful and try and move horses as much as possible too. So yeah, I guess I don't know if the sale authorities are up online somewhere still, or if it's kind
Yeah.
of like they're just in the holding, and I think they're probably shown somewhere online at least.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah. And so after the teens work with these horses, where do the horses generally go? Are they adopted to the public? Do they go into the Forest Service?
yeah, so they're adopted to the public. We're also working on putting horses back to work in the Forest Service. So those are like horses that are doing trail work in the backcountry. They need to be pack trained. So we have like I guess, request for proposal to the Forest Service to train horses to go back into work. That is kind of stuck in the upline somewhere. So we don't have that
Yeah.
contract like figured out, but it is like something that we're working on because there is a need for it. Motorcycles or like four-wheelers and vehicles can only get so far back. So like really horses
Yeah.
are building those backcountry trails. And we want to make it so that it's like advertised on the trail too, like this was built by Mustangs, like that
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
from this land, and like
That would be really
bring a
cool.
lot of honor. So yeah, that's our
Yeah.
like big plan. I'm hoping that it gets somewhere at some point.
Yeah. Hopefully that would be amazing. And then, so tell me a little bit about the sanctuary herd that you guys have.
Yeah. So it's on 900 acres out in like the high plains, eastern Colorado. It's gorgeous. That's like the northern point of the Black Forest. So it actually is like kind of high elevation, even though it's like the grasslands. And
Hmm.
there's 30 horses on the sanctuary, and they have the whole 900 acres to roam and migrate around. They have their favorite little high spot where they can look out for miles and miles and make sure there's no predators coming, I guess.
Yeah.
That's their like favorite place to hang and like take dust baths. But they're pretty much get to live out their natural wildlife. We don't interact with them, or I guess we don't like do any health stuff or anything really, unless they need like their hooves trimmed. Some of the older ones need some like support in that way. And then we do supplement hay in the winter. It's not like we're gonna like let them be like so
Yeah.
hardcore that their body condition goes down. But for the most part,
Yeah.
it's like completely hands off. And like, yeah, we have had some reach the end of their life and like have a natural death. And usually that's like, end of winter when they can't keep up with the herd moving around and
Yeah.
stuff. We've got some Spanish Mustangs in the herd, which is just was some of the ones that we got at the beginning just to like show genetic, like kind of Spanish Mustang genetics. And then others have been any horse that kind of just wasn't built to thrive in domestic life and didn't want human companionship in any way. So the sanctuary has been a way to catch the horses that can't thrive in domestic life.
And how have you guys found those horses? Is it people coming to you that tried with them, and how
Yeah,
did
it's
some
a
of
lot
those
of
come to
like
you?
our trainers that it's like trainers that have said like, yo, this horse isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
They make it pretty clear. The horses make it pretty clear when they're like, either they're unpredictable and it's like they're going to get neglected because at some point someone's gonna be too scared to like work with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been a good safety net. Unfortunately, our sanctuary is full currently. And so that's been another challenge to not be able to offer that to some of the horses that I think
Mm.
and still trying to find homes for those horses that are maybe only going to be like halter trained. Like it's a hard no with like going under saddle and like having a job in that way. So we've been trying to find alternative
Yeah.
things for them, but we hold on to those horses a lot longer. And yeah, sanctuary is necessary, but I don't know, not the full answer either.
Right.
There's not endless sanctuary, but
Yeah. And so what are some of the things, because you guys also help just like Mustang owners, is that correct? And
Mm-hmm.
so what are some of the things that, say you have a Mustang, that you can kind of take advantage with you
Yeah,
guys?
that's pretty much what we're focusing on these days is supporting the horse staying in the adopter's hands and then like trying to keep the original adopter. When these horses get bounced around a lot, they have no like grounded. They
Yeah.
just like they get lots of layers of like micro or macro traumas and they get really shut down, and I don't feel like it's like they just want a home and like they want to like be in one place and like know their routine. But I think there is like this fantasy around owning a wild horse that's needs to be spoken about more transparently, like from the beginning before you get like you choose to get a wild horse. I think people get them potentially for the wrong reasons, whether it be like fantasy or whether it be like they think they're getting a cheap horse, like, oh, $135 for a horse, like let's just get one from holding. And I think there needs to be a lot more education of like what that path could look like, and how challenging it can be. I think that the Mustang makeover challenges have put this like view of I guess it's like the normal public that's trying to like take a horse under saddle, like it's probably not going to happen in 90 days and or like 60 days, 90 days, like and so I think people feel really discouraged really quickly with a horse when it takes them like a year to get a halter on it and they feel like they can barely touch their horse.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because this is almost exactly what happened to me, because I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I not a professional horse trainer all of a sudden?
Yeah, and it just depends on the personality, like horse personality that you get and the age they are and how willing they are. And there's a very wide variety of horses. And so I feel like that's kind of become like the model. Like people think they're going to get their horse under saddle in 90 days. And like
90 days, you have a fully trained $125 horse.
Yeah. And that's just that it's not realistic. And I think, again, that's like where we really want to encourage people to like it's okay if you're struggling with your Mustang, like you adopted a wild animal. And I think even inside the equestrian world, like people that have had domestics, like don't understand that like Mustangs are wired completely different and they're going to like, they're just going to be a totally different, I guess, beast to tame. So, so we try to support like what we've really like niched down into is like creating support outside of just this Front Range, like Colorado Mustang Mecca area. Is a lot of the people that are like reaching out to us, they live in the East or like they live like farther out where there's not as much resources or even a Mustang focused trainer. And so we're trying to like give them more resources. So we're like doing virtual clinics with our trainer partners. We're doing one-on-one coaching. Like you buy 10 sessions so you can get past that next point with like being able to touch your horse's feet or like getting your horse to accept a saddle or whatever. It's like these really, I guess, I don't know, one-on-one coaching sessions where it's like the person can really just talk about their horse and their problem.
Specific, issue. Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been so great. Like we kind of just started it this year, even though it's kind of been in our head for a while. And so I feel like we have a lot of room to grow still. Like I think people are barely catching on that we're offering that now. But it's because it's like we get people wanting to like relinquish their horse like weekly. I get multiple calls wanting to relinquish their horses and like they think that we still have sanctuary. We don't. So it's like, okay, how can we support you with like the horse staying in your hands, which is probably the best option. And I'm like, I guess even just them having someone to talk to, like, yo, it's okay. Like, you're not the only one that's struggling. And like some of our horses we've had for over a year and we still don't have them under saddle. And, you know, it just depends on the horse.
I mean, the more people I talk to, the more I realize that is the more typical experience than the really visual ones that you see with the makeovers or whatever. I think a lot of people, it definitely was for me. It was not like a 90-day thing. No. And like I have one now that she was originally for my daughter, but that changed. And so like I have my other two horses. So she's kind of just hanging out and she's, you know, a little more standoffish and stuff. So she's definitely had her time. But I mean, I'm like, oh, dang, it's like 3 years now that she's just kind of part of our herd.
Mhm.
And I think there is always that pressure. Like, you have to have this horse, you have to get it trained, it has to have some purpose.
Mhm.
But I think there are a lot more opportunities with Mustangs than just like getting on and riding it.
Yeah, I think we're like part of the front part of the wave of progressiveness, but I really do feel like there's like mindset shifts in horsemanship happening right now, whereas like you can have and enjoy like just being with your horse on the ground and like creating
Yeah.
that relationship and not feeling like you have to like go out and like accomplish something in a way where you're like riding. I feel like I don't know, there seems to be like a lot more forward thinking
Yeah.
happening around that, and like even just the slow pace of like, yeah, you're just committing to this horse and it's the
Yeah.
journey and it's not necessarily like end goal.
Yeah. I do love that. I love that message because I know for me, like, I was almost embarrassed by it, like, I can't tell anybody, like, I've had this horse for a year, like my first Mustang, and I still haven't, done the first ride or whatever, because so much of it is like, oh, I haltered my horse a day after I got her, or,
Yeah.
I think a lot of times that's what's celebrated, or that's the image people are putting out. And I know for me, that wasn't not the case at all.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a form of like uh yeah, I guess just embarrassment or like really discouraged. Like people are like, oh, like I don't know, they don't want to be able to face like that maybe they failed at it, or like they feel like they failed. And so that's kind of like the message we've been trying to share is like, you're not failing. Like,
Yeah.
just keep going.
Do you see that a lot with people who kind of come to you and are like, I can't, like, I need to find a different home for the horse? Is
I
it often more like a human issue?
Yeah, it's absolutely usually a human thing going on. And I think it's also a hard conversation to have with people because it's like you have to look at yourself, like, and see where you're at and like what energy
Yeah.
you're bringing and like what, I don't know, I guess just stuff that is going on for you. And that's why the virtual clinics and then like the in-person clinics, they're very like almost human focused. It's like the horse is going to be the horse, but it's like, okay, what can we look at for you? Like, what energy are you bringing
Mm,
in to, like, are you bringing nervous energy? Are you scared of them? Like, how do we calm your nervous system so that they're not reflecting that? So yeah, it's tricky, and it usually is. I feel like it's a human problem, but the humans aren't even necessarily aware that they're the
yeah.
problem. It's a lot of like ego. So
Yeah.
it's a very delicate like conversation to have with people.
Yeah. I think it is a really hard place because it's a lot easier to deflect blame
Mhm.
than to kind of take responsibility for it and to recognize that there are changes you can make. So
Yeah.
I think that's harder place to get to, but once you get there, I think that's part of the power of the Mustangs is they kind of force you to
Absolutely.
like look at yourself a little bit. This is your issue. And what can you do about it? Like, you have power over this. So what changes can you make?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the Mustangs are so powerful, and that's kind of like, even, looking back on my journey and like the first time I worked with Mustangs, like that was a very like reflective time of like, oh, what am I like bringing to this right now? Like, do I have fear? Like, I am kind of scared of you. You definitely like kicked at me yesterday. So like, do I really
Yeah.
want to work with your feet again? And like really a lot of like nervous system, like balancing for yourself before you can like go and engage with that horse, or like you're going to react off each other. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, that is the power of the Mustang for sure.
Yeah. I know. I remember when I would first, my Mustang would be great in the corral, and then I would take her out and she would just blow up at everything. So, of course, I'm like terrified to take her out of the corral.
Mhm.
And because, this is what's going to happen every time. But finally it clicked, like, this makes so much sense. Like, you're trying to take her out, you're scared. What do
Mhm.
you think she's going to feel like that now I suddenly feel so comfortable with you because I'm acting like something's going to happen to us every second because, I'm afraid she's going to kick at me or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we've gotten some owner relinquished horses where like the owner was afraid of them, and it's like the horse realized like, oh, I can like explode and then you're going to leave me alone for a month. So
Yeah,
like
I can be
it's been
safe
working
again.
really well for me to like be really big and scary. And a lot of that, like, because it is, I mean, it does work. Like, like, okay, I don't really want to like die today hanging out with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to like break that cycle if they've like learned that that's their way of getting left alone.
And does it seem like some of that happens because people are going too fast? They're maybe taking steps that they're
Yeah,
not ready for and the horse isn't ready for, but it's kind of like, this is the timeline we should be on.
yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of ignoring the small subtle signs that the Mustang is telling you, like, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this, with it
Yeah.
just being even like their body weight, like leaning away or like not wanting to like make eye contact with you. That those really subtle signs are easy to miss for someone that's not, you know, professionally working with Mustangs or horses or whatever. And so, I think they've had that no that was really quiet and it was ignored. And so like, okay, I got to be louder and I got to be louder and I got to be louder until you actually like hear me. And so, yeah, that's a lot of the clinics that I'm bringing in, and like the education is like a lot of like person work. Like, what energy are you bringing to the situation? Are you listening to the horses no? And like, if you're not, why can't you? And like, what mindset do you have around that? Like being told no. And then, yeah, even just those like little subtle signs, like, okay, the horse said no there, but you didn't see that. And so like, this is where you need to step back to until the
Yeah.
horse
And
says yes
I
here.
think if you're getting a big reaction, that's your big hint that like there's
Yep,
stuff before it that you need to step back a little bit. Because,
absolutely.
which I think is also a misconception. A lot of it is like, just let the horse figure it out or push through it or whatnot, instead of like stepping back and like, okay, we went too fast, too far.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times horse training, you think, you just let them buck it out or you let them figure it out on their own instead of kind of stepping back and managing it together.
Yes. Yeah, I do think that the horse, and I'm not saying that all Mustang makeover horses are like that, but I do feel like they were definitely not listened to at their no, and like at a certain extent shut down to the point where, okay, like I'm gonna perform and I'm gonna do what I'm told because I'm gonna get in trouble, like a more like fear mindset versus like a partnership. So
yeah, and maybe even some of the same thing you kind of said, they've kind of learned the strategy to be left alone, I'll go
yeah,
out and do this for you and then I can kind of go
then
back
you
to
leave
my
me
safe
alone.
place. And
Oh, that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, like, yeah, here I'm gonna work really hard and then please leave.
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't had much experience with it, but I know that like mentally it definitely kind of let me get in my head because of just the image it projects that, if you're good with horses, then it's going to be a magical short experience. And I think for me it was pretty magical, but it was very long, and I would even say now like it's still ongoing. I don't know that I'll ever be like, I always thought I just want these horses that will listen to me, like when I first got horses, do
Yeah,
everything I want.
yeah,
And, it's not like that. Like it's always interacting with the horse instead of just riding a machine, which is one thing that I think is so cool about them.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to look at it as a practice. Like, you're going out and you're being with your horse depending on like what the weather is or like what you're feeling or how, I don't know, just anything can like change your experience. And so it's like a practice to just show up and like keep moving forward, but without a timeline or like that human end goal.
Yeah, I do love that. I think that is really important to just focus on, instead of huge big goals, just like a little progress. That's something I had to step back and do. Like, did we make any progress today? And sometimes, yeah, it would be so minuscule that, I'm definitely not like putting it up on Facebook. Like today, my horse and I walked one step outside the crowd. Neither of us freaked out. But like, the smallest little bit of progress, and it like led to a really good place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you seen some people who are maybe ready to get rid of their horses or feel like they couldn't handle it anymore to kind of make that turnaround and kind of
We're
recommit? And
trying. I feel like it's still such a new program.
yeah,
I think like once people reach out to us, they already have like they've like feel like they've
kind of
exhausted
come to the
themselves and
end.
they're ready to move on. So that's what we're trying to change is like get people knowing that like we're here to support earlier on. And I think
Yeah,
it's interesting, like, you know, you're getting this. It's again another mindset thing that bothers me where it's like, oh, I got this $125 horse, but you have to put money into training, whether you send it to a trainer or you learn to do it yourself step
yeah,
by step. Like there has to be a you're getting a raw blank slate. Like at some point you're gonna have to put more money into it to, you know, make
yeah,
the investment work for you. So I think there's like this weird thing is like you're getting a cheap horse and but then, you know, the reason horses are $10,000 is because they've had more than that probably put into them with
yeah,
training. And so yeah, again, that mindset shift for people that like, you know, 125 is not what it costs to have a horse. It's like
yeah.
thousands and thousands of dollars. It's a huge investment. And if you're not willing to hire a trainer or like get support, then you shouldn't be getting a Mustang.
Yeah, and I think not just money as far as investment, like time also. I
Yeah.
think it's hard to replace time, even if you have a trainer. If you're not learning yourself, the horse might be great for the trainer. And if you're
Yeah.
still coming in the same way, I think it's still probably going to be a struggle.
I agree. I've sent my horse, my domestic, I have a kill pen rescue. I sent him to training and he gets back home and it's like, okay, now I have to learn how to do like, and then of course, like a good trainer will show you what they've
Yeah,
been doing and work with you before the horse gets sent back. But you still have those little slip ups where like they don't want to get on the trailer or like, you know, and I'm
yeah.
out at the trailhead, like you have to get on the trailer.
We have to go home someday.
So like what am I going to do when it's just
Yeah,
him or we don't have any support and so that's again like what we advocate is people learning themselves because
yeah,
the horse needs to stay in their hands and they need to learn how to communicate with their horse.
yeah. I do love that. And it seems like more trainers are kind of getting on board with like, I can help you with the horse, but you also have to let me help
Yeah,
you with your things. So yeah, I do love that.
you have to like rescue yourself. Like I can't just
Yeah.
like do this for you. So
Yeah. And I think the neat thing is if you do that, if you make that commitment, like you can really learn and grow. And for me, yeah, I've learned about horses, but it's also given me a lot of insights into, my personal life and a reflection, I guess you can say, on the things the other areas of life that I should probably be working on also.
yeah,
Kind of,
I can totally relate to that with my personal horse that I chose. Like I feel like you always choose a horse that's going to challenge you and like so mine was like boundaries. Like when I was younger, I had no boundaries. I couldn't say no. Like I was a people pleaser, all the
yeah,
things. And of course, my horse like walked all over me and like,
yeah,
like in my space, in my bubble, like he kind of ran the show. And it was, yeah, like working with a trainer, realizing that, oh, she has like a very like a stern boundary with him and I don't have that. And after I like, yeah, pretty much stepped into like, hey, like I do have a boundary, like you can't walk all over me. It was like
yeah.
total shift in our like relationship. And also like
That's
him being
cool.
able to trust me more when we're like out on the trailer, like something scary does happen. He's looking to me for the answer versus like he's deciding he's gonna make the choice to run or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a really, really cool transformational like
yeah.
experience for me and my horse.
It is neat. They really magnify those little
Oh
quirks
yeah,
that we can work on a little bit.
take advantage of them to
Yeah,
see
they're
it.
good teachers. Yeah. So what are some of the things that you guys focus on in your clinics that you're doing?
I feel like we're pretty well rounded. So we're doing a Mustang gentling clinic, which is auditor focused. So everyone can just kind of see what it would be like to gentle a Mustang. That's the one coming up in here in a couple weeks. And then we have like preparing for the first ride. I think people they feel pretty comfortable maybe like doing all the gentling groundwork, but then like when it goes to like being up over your horse, that's like a
It's a big
totally
scary step.
different step. Yeah. And so preparing for your first ride and like all the things and like the checklist that you need to work through before you take that first ride so that you are safe and your horse is safe. We have a hoof dissection clinic. So really like diving into like hoof health and yeah, like even people just being able to like understand the hoof and like what's going on and like what the hoof is communicating. We definitely advocate like whole horse health. And so
Yeah.
like when we take a horse in, we'll like chiropractor, hoofs and teeth, like make sure that the whole horse's body is balanced. And we also make sure like if someone else is having a problem and like their horse is bucking on them, like saddle fit, chiropractic, like you need to check all of the things that might be going wrong that your horse is trying to communicate, like, yo, I'm hurting. Let's see, what else do we have? We have like desensitizing versus sensitizing. So like when your horse needs to be like desensitized to something versus when it needs to react quickly to something and like the difference, how to get your horse either more sensitive or less sensitive. We have a trailer loading clinic, anxious horses, like how to support your anxious horse. Horse personalities. I think this one's really interesting. We did a virtual clinic on this, but they kind of go into like two different categories of like they're either like really curious and forward and I don't know, but also like dolled out. They're kind of like name the children's horse, but really those horses like could get in trouble later on if they don't have like the proper training by that was kind of my horse too, like kind of taking over. And then you have like the really scared ones that are really shut down or like very timid, but those horses almost like become like, even though they're extremely way more challenging to partner with, if you do like gain their trust and partnership, like they will do anything for you. So like kind of talking about those two personalities and how you can work with them and like what training tactics you can use to support that type of horse. I know there's more, but I'm like, oh, we have some under saddle, like some actual like riding, some more like horsemanship clinics. We have some that are more open-ended where you come with the whatever problem that you want to solve and they'll look at it in a holistic view to support you and your horse to get to the next chapter. So
yeah, lots of really good topics. Lots of the places where you can get stuck, you know, the trailer loading. You talked a little bit, or you made a note about kind of the things that you do once you guys are rescuing these horses from kill pens or auctions. What are some of the things that you do for the horses that have, you know, likely not had a great experience in the domestic world up to that point?
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're seeing is like a lot of horses that have been bounced around. They end up at auction, they end up at kill pens, and those horses probably are more challenging characters to begin with because that's probably why they kind of got dumped. But then they have this whole another level of like shutdown and trauma that they're working through. And so they're pretty much like they're checked out, like they're a shell of an animal. And those horses, we really just like give them time to decompress and like very hands off. Like we don't ask anything of them. We've gotten some of them like when we have them all out in winter pasture and it's like just letting them be with the herd that they've all like integrated and they like accept them and the herd's so cute. Like they'll be like greet them and like try to like, you know, like we like grazing over here and this is where we drink water and like, you know, they try to integrate them. And it's interesting to see if the horse is able to integrate even with other horses or if they're so shut down that they don't even want to engage with other horses. Like that's a pretty big red flag. But we've been doing some case studies with different healing modalities that have been really, really fascinating. And I feel like we're just like kind of dipping our toe in and understanding it all. But one of them is emotion and body code, like trauma release work, and that can be done remotely. So they pretty much have like trapped emotions in their body and that blocks them from like, again, like expressing themselves or wanting to be in their body.
Moving forward.
Yeah. Maybe. And so, for example, we had a horse that was he was the owner relinquished, but he was like the owner relinquished I was talking about that he realized he could be like really big and scary and like people will leave him alone. So he had his own like stuff going on there. And then I guess one of the mistakes that I made is I didn't realize how bonded he was to the other horse that he came in with, and she was more adoptable. She was younger and under saddle, and being able to like move on to the next home. And he was heartbroken when she left, and very like outwardly like angry at us. And so he was one that I wasn't sure if he would be one that would need sanctuary, I guess. Like he can kind of function, on foot, but he was explosive and definitely had some like aggression, like he would kick at you and stuff. And so I'm like, we're out of sanctuary space. Like I feel like the best thing potentially for this animal is to potentially put him down, because like I don't want anyone to get hurt. Like that, as a nonprofit, you still have to like make sure like humans are safe first. And so yeah, I was like getting to the point where I like really wasn't sure what to do with him. And the lady, Joanna, she just offered her services to us, and she's like, I can do it remote. Do you have any horses that like need like some healing? And I was like looking at Tupelo and I was like, yes, like please do something with this horse. Cause really like we were like mucking his stall, but not really like engaging with him in any way. He was definitely scary and definitely like used his explosiveness and like unpredictable behaviors to like keep you away. And it really like did a good job for us.
It's effective.
Yeah, he did. I was like, I see why your owner didn't want to hang out with you. And so she was working on him, and we kind of he was just in his pen, like minding his own business, whatever. I was mucking. It was about a month into her working, or maybe 6 weeks into her like doing these weekly sessions with him to do like the trauma release stuff. And I'm like mucking, he's eating hay on that side, I'm mucking on this side, and he like comes up and is like standing at my shoulder. And I was like kind of freaked out, actually. I was like, hey, like, you good? We good?
Yeah, why are you over here?
Why are we like engaging? Like, are you gonna like come at me? And he was just like standing there in my presence, like at my shoulder. And I was like, okay, like let's just stand here together. And like I stood and was just like breathing with him. I was trying to calm myself down, because I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. Like, I don't know what you want from me.
This is not our typical interactions.
Yeah. And he like, I ended up like petting his head and scratching his head and scratching his neck. And he like had this like huge release where he was almost like falling asleep, like in the sun, and just like actually enjoying being touched. And I was like, whoa, like this is, it like made me question, like, do we know anything? Like, do we actually know anything about how we're like dealing with like traumatized horses? And so powerful. And he now is like, able to be, I wouldn't say that I want to like bring him back under saddle, but he's definitely like a cuddly dude, and like is enjoying his, like, he has his like happiness back that he did not have. And it all to Joanna's work. And she's working on another horse right now, June. She was again another kill pin. She bounced around. She was one that like totally didn't want to integrate with the herd. The herd tried hard. Like, one of our domestics was like grazing next to her, and like he's like, I'll just hang out with you. And then we have one of our other little playful younger guys. He was like always like play biting and like trying to get everyone riled up. He was like trying to play with her, and he was like, you want to like do neck scratches, like, because she doesn't like neck scratch or like engage with anyone in that way. And he was like trying, like asking her, and she like flipped around and like was gonna kick him. Like, she still can't be in with anybody in a pen. She like feels very guarded in that way, but she is starting to engage with us, like eating hay out of our hand and like facing up. And you can see like that she's actually like kind of like got the light back in her eye again. And so it's so beautiful, again, to Joanna's work, because we aren't really like necessarily asking very much of this horse right now, is just to just be and see where she can like find herself again. But it's been so powerful.
Yeah. What does that process look like when she's working with a horse?
Well, it's remote. So she like uses herself as a proxy, and then there's like a whole chart of different emotions that she goes through, and she's connected to source and like asks, you know, like what trapped emotions need to be released today. And you can do up to 10 per session. And so it's a pretty slow process, because she said that she's done more than 10 on a human, and they like ended up getting really sick for a long time. Like it was like too much to release at once, like energetic release. And so she does like 10 per session. And then like a horse is asking for 7 days to like integrate that. And she did it on me too. Cause I just was like, I want to know what the horses are experiencing. And so it's like any type of like chronic pain that you have in your body. And I think there's other ways to like move through this too. Like I think acupuncture is probably a way to do it also, like, you know, chi, like flow, energetic flow of the body, craniosacral, any other types of body work. But it does, like, you can feel like her connected to you, and you're like your heart center. And I still haven't needed to go like back to the chiropractor to like, I usually get, you know, chiropractic like once a month for just like keeping myself aligned. And like, yeah, since she's worked through that, I still have like some muscle pain, but it's like, it feels like your body is like trying to reset itself. So it's like creating the space for your body to like fix itself or heal itself by releasing those trapped emotions. So anyways, it's wild. And I feel like I want to get like certified in it or like learn it more, because just seeing like the 2 things that she's done remotely, I'm like, okay, I like need to know more about this. Like, it's so fascinating. And and then I had a body work. So she does cranial sacral and like body work on horses and on humans, but we worked with some of the horses. And just like seeing the releases that these horses are having, just based off of touch and like holding space for them to heal is really fascinating to me. So
yeah, that is interesting. It's interesting how interconnected it all is.
It's wild. It's like, it literally was like one of these things that I'm like, whoa, like,
yeah. And I think in our world, we've kind of compartmentalized. You're like, this is physical, this is mental, this is emotional, but really such an interconnection between it all. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys have done with the horses that you're taking in out of the bad situations that have been helpful? Or has that kind of been your main focus recently?
I think it's hard to like have a business model where you're only taking auction horses. Like we need some of those really slow cases. And then we do need like some of those horses that are like, I guess younger and don't have all the trauma that's like, okay, like you can be adopted out. So we're trying to find a balance there with, I guess, like if we had more financial resources, like, you know, the more the merrier, but it's like, you know, since you do have
that is the hard part.
I love that we have our like project team where we have our like kind of blank slate holding horses that can move through and like get a good training. And then the ones that end up at our facility are the ones that are like have no timeline, and it's kind of just to like let them be. But yeah, I think the other thing that I've noticed is like if you just go out there and be in their presence without having any agenda, like you just go sit and meditate, like do your own thing, like you don't even have to like look at them, pay attention. It's interesting to see like when they feel comfortable, like they're saying yes, like, hey, I would love to like, you know, be with you, and like see where their bubble's at of where they're guarded. And not always be like coming at them, like just sit there.
It is interesting. And I find that so hard to do. Like that shouldn't be hard to do. Yeah. But it's like, I think, you know, just the world we live in, we're always going, we always have something to do. We have our to-do list, we have our goals or whatever. It can be really hard to just like go out there and just be for a little bit and kind of just participate in the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I try. It is tricky though, because it's like you always have a million things going on. But like if you have a meditation practice, sometimes it's nice to just like go out there and like sit for 15 minutes in the sun with them. And just like it's also really cool. I feel like with the animal communication stuff like starts coming in, like you actually are like sitting there and, just like being able, like open to receive or whatever, you're like in your meditation practice and you actually like are getting messages from horse, like you're like, oh, like, okay, like again, if we all like slow down and quiet ourselves and don't feel like we have to be like doing anything, like there's a lot of messages that come in.
That's so, yeah, I agree. That's so funny because I went out to the horse corral this morning and was like kind of doing some work. It's like, I'm just going to hang out and like do 10 minutes of like meditation, just breathing or whatever. It did not end up working. It's like my typical, one of the dogs comes up and is like, so I'm like sitting in the horse corral, rolling all over the dirt and then on me. So I'm like, that's very distracting.
Yes.
And then, like someone came to like deliver propane. So it was just funny because I'm like, it seems like it's such a challenge. Like, why is it such a challenge to just a little bit of time? But I love it when I'm able to, focus.
I know. Sometimes I put the dogs inside so they don't like, because the dogs are dogs and they like want to be like, why are you sitting on the ground? Like, let's hang out. And then like being a mom too, you're just like, okay, like,
yeah, I know. I was kind of curious what they would do. Like maybe they'll like come and just lay by me. They were so wild. And then someone came, so they were barking at that. So it was funny, but yeah, that's
maybe again tomorrow.
Yeah. Try again another day. Tell me a little bit about some of the partnerships you have that I'm guessing provide some funding for you guys.
Yeah. We have the Horses Helping Horses ambassadors. We started that program this year with one of our sponsors, Fantasy Official, which they do like really high-end riding gear. And so we've gotten into like the show world, which is really cool because a lot of like the show world, like they don't know Mustangs exist either. And they don't know anything about like the things that Mustangs are facing. And so it's really good educational, like, I don't know, just a way to like educate and then cross-pollinate like crowds on social media that like wouldn't normally engage. And
bring those communities together.
Yeah, so these show horses and the girls that are showing these horses, they're girls right now, but there could be boys or girls. Yeah. All of our ambassadors so far have been girls though. And they are sponsoring one of our sanctuary horses for the year with their show winnings. And then we're also doing like collaborative posts so that we get like followings from both different groups of people. And then also like their audience gets to learn about Mustangs, which doesn't not necessarily naturally happen. So that's been really cool. Program that we've started this year, and I think it has a lot of room to grow. I'd love to like reach into the Western show world too. I think Fantasy like naturally is in the English world, but we'll start getting people from both sides here, or like both, I guess, writing practices and stuff. And then we started an artist partnership, which each one of those partnerships is different, but it's been a way for us to collaborate with artists and get really cool gear. I don't know, like different merchandise and stuff that's like an art focused merchandise. So a lot of those are in the works and they're not necessarily like out to the public yet. Like we have
things to be looking for. Yeah.
We have socks with Dreamers and Schemers coming out, that partnership. We have Wild Rag coming out from a really cool Western artist who did our sanctuary herd on a Wild Rag. It's gorgeous. I can't wait for it to come out. Different stickers. We have more like a traditional oil painter artist who's going to be doing a series on our herd, and we're going to do like an auction of the paintings. And then also she's doing individual drawings of each of our sanctuary herds. So anyone that's like going to be doing like a reoccurring monthly donation is going to be getting like a print of the horse that they sponsored that she made. Cool. So we have all kinds of really cool stuff going on with our artist partners. I think those are kind of like the two programs that I'm really excited about. So.
Yeah, that's exciting. Those will be things to look for coming down the line for sure. Yeah. And I know I've seen some of the partnerships too, so that's neat. So kind of to close, what advice would you give someone who is either, struggling either in their personal life or with their horses? What are some maybe the things that they could do or advice you'd have for them?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, if they're struggling with their horses, I would say just slow down and stop trying. I think if you're struggling, you probably have some type of deadline or like goal that you're trying to hit, and try to just, again, like, you think of it as a practice, like you're going in and you're like being really present, like even make it so that you create this little like sacred space that you're going into with your horse, and like set all of the stuff down that is happening in our human world, and try and create this little sacred bubble that you're like walking into, and really like being present with your horse. Cause I think a lot of times we're like multitasking and like have things going on in our head, or we're like on our cell phone, and we're not even like being present with our horse. We're just like hand grazing because we have to, or you feel like you have to. So I feel like the slowdown is like the key.
Yeah.
And being present. And I think if that's like, I mean, I feel like that reflects back to your like personal life too, is like, when's the last time you just didn't have music on? You're not distracting yourself in any way. I feel like these happen for me when I'm in the car. I will like purposely not listen to music and just sit and drive. And I feel like that's when I get like the clearest downloads or like clearest communications, is like you don't have any distractions, and you're kind of, I guess, I don't know, driving can be kind of like a meditative practice, I guess, if you're not in too much traffic and you're just driving. I drive back roads in the country all the time. So
like, I'm the same. We have long distances on empty roads.
And so it's nice to like be just sitting and like listening to what comes in. And I feel like you get clarity.
I love that. I think that's true. Yeah. And I think a piece of that is kind of like letting go of control, when you go out with your horse and kind of, being in it instead of being like, I gotta do it my way and figure out, and things need to work out the way I need to do it.
I feel like that's reflective in our like relationships and everything else too. Like you have all these like ideas of what you want your relationship to be,
what it should look like,
friendship or whatever, and like, expectations. And then if you really like let go of that goal of what you want it to look like, there's so much freedom there.
Yeah, I love that. So where's the best place for people to find you? And then we'll also include links to everything in the podcast description.
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Great Escape Mustangs, and we're on Facebook, Great Escape Mustang Collaborative. And then we have a website that is very informational and has like all the things that we have going on. But if you want like a kind of daily reminder of what's going on, we are very active on social media. And then we also have a monthly newsletter that gives like all the information. I know social media can get diluted, so if you don't want to miss anything, sign up for our email, because we are on there communicating as well. So yeah, that's all the places to find us.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think the work that you guys are doing is incredible and so needed. It can get overwhelming to like get this Mustang, take it on. So to know that there's people out there that are like willing to help you, I think everybody that has gotten a Mustang, like I think your intentions are good. You really do want to have this horse in your life. And so what a valuable resource that you guys provide to be able to, help people, whether it's, where they reach points of struggle or just to like learn along the way, which is so valuable. So thank you for the work you do.
Yeah. Thank you for the work you do as well. Thank you for holding this space and giving in this way to the Mustang community.
Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.